Okay, before we were so rudely interrupted with the delivery of my new smart amp, the Spark amp by Positive Grid, which is awesome, by the way. I've been having a week of tons of fun with that thing. But before we were interrupted, we were still working on the major scale, 3 notes per string, and we had already done pattern or shape 1 and shape 2. If you go back an episode before the Spark amp one, you'll find those ones. Today, we're going to talk about shape 3. Let's do that right now. So if you recall, all of this practice that we've been working on is in the key of G, G major. So when we were doing shape 1, we did... And then to get to shape 2, you know it's the next note in the scale, right? So we start over here. But when I do shape 2, I like to start, I may have or may not have mentioned this, but I like to start and end back on the G, which is where our key is. So I would go. And then when I come back up, to start and end on G. For one thing, I really like to remember that I'm in the key of G, and anytime that I'm going to be soloing or improvising, not anytime, but the majority of the times, right? I'm most likely going to start and end on a G, if not do one or the other. And then this week we're going to be doing shape 3. So we go to the third whole step is where we would begin. Again, because I like starting in G, I just would go and then end up over here. And so now we're going to look at how we do shape 3. So this is what we do for shape 3. As you saw and as we talked about before, we still, again, we have those 3 inside of each shape. You have 3 patterns that you do. You have the beginning one that we do, which is the half whole. Then we jump right to the whole half, which always comes after the half whole ends. And by the way, it has the root in it, because it's the first one of the whole half. And then we do repeat that one. And now for the rest of them, if you remember, when we do the whole one, it repeats itself 3 times. So because we only have 3 strings left, we're going to go. So there's your whole pattern. And basically, when we're doing this one, right, we want to remember, again, just like we always do, we want to remember where the root is in each of these. That's where our G appears in the pattern 3 shape, in these 2 spots. You want to remember that. And one way that we can remember that, by the way, when we're not calling out like scale degrees, for instance, and or note names, one way to remember that is also to accent the root note. So when we're going along doing the scale, we might accent the note like this. Now another really cool thing that I wanted to tell you guys about this week, at least that I think is pretty neat, and I just kind of incorporated the two together, is because I'm also currently working on memorizing the circle of fifths. And I basically am always probably going to be working on that to some degree or another, just really ingraining it in my head. But one of the parts that I'm working on currently is remembering the fourths. So if you remember the circle of fifths, when we go counterclockwise on the circle of fifths, we end up each note on that circle is a fourth. So what I've been doing is practicing my scales so that I do them in every key. So there's 12 keys, right? We know that we've got 12 notes total, right, before we hit the octave. And if we use the circle of fifth and start at the 12 o'clock position, then that would mean C. So in other words, if I'm doing shape 1, I would do C, and then go back down, and that's 1. Then I take shape 1 again, and I move to F, because a fourth away from C is F. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Go through the whole thing. When I get to D flat, I call that one F sharp. I know we can go G flat. It just, to keep things transitioning smoothly, I just go F sharp and then B, E, A, D, G. And then I'm done with that one. Then I move on to shape 2. Now that only takes a couple minutes per shape, but I really find that it helps me, instead of going up and down in the same shape in the same key, which gets to be drudgery anyway, it's sort of fun to pick my way around and figure out, hey, so this is in the key of C, and then it's going to be in the key of F, and then it's going to be in the key of B flat. And being in different spots on the fretboard sort of makes it a little bit more of an adventure, if you will. I don't know, but I also feel like I'm getting something out of it because I have to put on my thinking cap. I try not to cheat and look at the circle of fifths and just figure out what is my next key going to be. So that's kind of a tip for you guys or whatnot, to maybe mix it up a little bit, but also to incorporate extra things into our training. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to work on shape 3, like I said, and we'll also continue, like it's not stopping for me, but doing the up, over, down, over, up, over, down in the minor pentatonic. So if you guys have forgotten, it kind of goes like... and then we go back. And I'll do that back and forth. And by the way, don't forget also to do your scale degrees in your minor pentatonic counting, you know, because it's easy for the major scale, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like nothing to that one. But the minor pentatonic, we want to remember that it's a 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. So you want to say those degrees while you're doing that, and or say the notes of minor pentatonic. That's what we have for this week. I hope you guys enjoy this lesson and the previous lessons, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Please put some comments down below. Let me know other things that you'd like to see. I do have a few things coming up that I'm hoping will be pleasant surprises for you guys, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. I'm going to record some of these things and then see if it ends up being something that you guys dig, guys and gals. Like and subscribe, and please share with your friends if you're digging this stuff. All right, see you next time.